Hey there everybody, this is Angelo here. I figured since we're getting close to the end of this backup video period that I should give you guys actually a little bit of a clue in on the, entire channel itself and tell you a little bit more about it. I think a good place to maybe start with all this is actually all the members of this podcast itself. And I think we should start all this off with me. So, why did I start the podcast? I more or less just kind of started the podcast because I really needed something to do with my time, as I had literally big gaps of time where I would do nothing, and it kind of sucked. However, past that, there's nothing too special. I've changed quite a bit since the podcast has been started like a year ago, more than a year ago now. I wouldn't really be able to tell you if I'm a better person or a worse person, but I have definitely changed. So next up, let's go to Quick. Why is he sometimes in the videos and why is he sometimes not? Well, the answer is that Quick is a very busy guy and he actually has a life that he needs to attend to, so, he can't really be in the episodes all that often. He was my first choice for co-host, though, as I feel like he and I bounce off each other really, really well, right? But yeah, going to our next member here, though, Dan. Dan became our next co-host after Quick because, one, I think Dan actually genuinely really liked the podcast and found it pretty fun. So the idea of me inviting him on actually seemed like it would be a pretty good time to him. That, and he's also just very helpful, honestly. He just doesn't like to show it very much because he is a tsundere. I'm saying that in here because I know he'll hate it. Dan's been a really great co-host. He and I vibe really, really well together. So, thusly, he is in a lot of the videos. And next up is Ari. Now, Ari came in around episode 7, right? And she's really great. She's really sweet behind the scenes and all, but she does just love to bully me. Another member I'd like to tell you all about is Pliers. So Pliers, I think, is genuinely the most funny guy on the entire podcast. I think his style of humor is really good because it's just so absurd and it feels like he's like thinking about something else entirely whenever you're talking about a certain subject. Now you're also probably wondering, hey, so why do you have all these sprites for Vito despite him never appearing on the podcast? Well, really, it's just because I think I wanted to have them for the sake of the Cyberpunk videos. Having those sprites for the videos makes things a lot easier. Sadly, we're never going to really be able to get Casimir some sprites because sadly we just don't have the time to. Anyways, now that I've explained all of the members of our way, let's actually go into some other details about the podcast. How do commissioning these sprites really work? Well, usually what happens is if someone is new to the podcast, I order a set of 10 sprites because that's usually enough to express a wide range of emotions that they'll be, displaying. And then from there, if they seem like they're a really good fit for the podcast and they're going to be on pretty often, we commission a few more. I very do genuinely think that if Aramochi had not drawn such nice art, these videos just would not exist. So thank you again to Aramochi as always. So next up, I'm going to tell you a little bit about something that only really was there for about 5 episodes of the podcast. And that was the background music. So the background music nowadays is literally just a mix of whatever kind of really good video game soundtracks I can find. Now, here's the thing though. Before that, in these first 5 episodes, I actually tended to use only lo-fi hip-hop beats. Like it, I feel like it just kind of adds to this vibe of people who spend way too much time on the internet. That's the general feel I get from lo-fi. It suits the podcast really well. The only issue, it kind of felt like I was stealing people's really hard work, and I felt kind of bad about it. With most videos, I usually would add in the music at the end, which, was easy, right? But I kind of do prefer what I have started doing more recently, where I like to add in the music as I go. Because one, it gives me something to listen to instead of just hearing me constantly have to play back my voice and be all like, so guys. Something else that has really changed with the podcast and always been kind of chaotic are the thumbnails. So before when we started out, we kind of tended to just talk about whatever we wanted, right? It would just be a random list of topics that I chose because I thought that was a fun way to do things, right? And it still is. But it was too much of a mess. Now, at first, because we could talk about whatever we wanted, we could really just make the thumbnail whatever we wanted, right? I mean, we just needed to make it like a fun commission of people together. And after episode 10, we needed to start focusing down on certain topics, so the thumbnail needs to be at least a little vaguely related to that, right? Now this is difficult, mostly because we work on a bi-weekly format, and we kind of like to just make it so that we kind of plan out a video not all that much, and then we just kind of go for it. This is kind of why some of our thumbnails are like these really gorgeous pieces of art that are done by like really talented artists like Aramochi and such. And others are literally just me and Dan's like drawn heads put on top of some random stock photo. There is one thumbnail, however, that has caused me a lot of problems, and that is this one, the Xavier Renegade Angel review thumbnail. And you're probably wondering why. Well, the reason why is because I can't show you the rest of this image right now, because YouTube thinks it's showing nudity, and it's not. I mean, it really isn't when you get down to it. It's pretty whack. The artist did such a great job too and everything. Anyways, that's been this video. Thank you all so much for watching as per usual. Don't worry, we're slowly closing in more and more on that, this backup video period being over. And once it is, we can go back to making videos like usual, bro. Thank you all so much for watching. See you next time.